Hello again. So I just have my sunglasses on. I just got these at Charming Charlie's. I needed a new pair, but don't think I'm being rude by keeping them on. I kind of have a headache. It's been a long day. I've been up since like 5:30 a.m. and I'm ready to crash. But yeah, my eyes are a little bit droopy and tired. So I'm just gonna keep them on for now since I've been outside on my beautiful patio with this view. Like, the weather has just been so nice. Oh, it's incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk about what's been going on with my car. So basically, in October 18th to be exact, I bought a 2004 silver Volkswagen Beetle in full. I have the title to it and all, and it was my very first car, and it was also my dream car. I technically was not looking at this specific Beetle that I was looking at. I was actually looking at a different one that I found off of Carfax. And my dad one day got out of Walmart after shopping, saw the car there, and called me up because it was a Beetle and it was my dream car, so he wanted me to see it. So he sent me some photos, and then as soon as he got home, we looked at it some more. We even Googled how much a 2004 Volkswagen Beetle goes for, and then we called the owners up, talked to them, asked some questions, and then they told us to meet them there because we were like, okay, we want it. So, car looks in amazing condition inside and out. I test drove it. My dad did as well. And, I signed the contract thinking that I was purchasing my dream car with no issues, other than the fact that they stated that the handle to the glove box was broken. And I was like, I don't really need a glove box. That's something I can deal without. So it was whatever. That same weekend, I took the car to Orlando. It ended up breaking down on the way back. And thankfully, my boyfriend Jeff was driving us back because my dad was afraid, since I just got my license and I just got the car, about me driving for the first time on the road all the way to Orlando. So my boyfriend ever so kindly drove his motorcycle all the way down from Orlando to West Palm, and then rode up with me in my car all the way back to Orlando. And then when we came back home, came all the way back, and then went back on his bike and drove all the way back to Orlando. But anyways, yeah, so he was the one driving, and right as we were getting off the highway, the car literally shut down, and he kept restarting it multiple times and even got us home safely somehow. And thankfully we didn't cause any accidents. We weren't harmed at all. So that was a plus. I called up the guy that I bought it from, and let me just tell you guys, it's not a private dealer. It is a small dealership. And he kind of chuckled and was like, that is so strange. And I was like, this sounds off. Like, that's not the type of reaction you would hear if, you just sold a car to someone and they're like telling you how much danger could have been caused because the car kept breaking down on the road. You would think someone, would express a little bit more concern for selling a car like that, So, they said, bring it to my mechanic. We'll see what's wrong with it. And it ended up being a misfire in my cylinder 4. He also fixed a coil, the cables and plugs, and noticed a small leakage in the Beetle. And they paid out of courtesy, honestly, just to save their own asses, but whatever. So they paid out of courtesy, and then that next weekend it was EDC Orlando, so I drove back up to Orlando, and driving up seemed okay, but then one night Jeff went to go get us snacks at Subway, and the car stopped working, and thank God he was in the parking lot, but he had to walk all the way back home to his apartment from where Subway was, and also it wasn't that long a walk, but still, it's inconvenient. So instead of calling the guy I bought the car from, I right away, called the mechanic the next day. But at first, we were thinking it was the car battery, so we tried jumping the battery with Jeff's roommates and friends' car. It wasn't the battery, which wasn't the issue. So thankfully Jeff just renewed his AAA and I got it towed home for free all the way from Orlando, and I live 153 miles away from him. So I called the mechanic before it was towed and he was just trying to give us some pointers, maybe check the fuse box and everything, and nothing was working. So once it was towed and it was back in West Palm, I didn't hear from the mechanic for several days, and I ended up calling the guy I bought the car from, telling him how I haven't heard from the mechanic, and if he didn't know what was going on, this is what was going on with the car. It wasn't running anymore. It would not turn. Anytime you put the key in the ignition, it kept making like a weird flashing sound, like, you know those old style cameras, like when you take a photo, goes like the after effect. So that's what it sounded like. And he was like, oh, that's so strange, like, let me call the mechanic and see what's going on and I'll get back to you. He never got back to me. And then after just multiple days passing by and not hearing from them of what's going on, my mom took matters into her own hand, called the mechanic, and he basically stated that it was $8,500 to repair the car for his labor, because it turns out it was the engine. And a lot of you are probably like, what? An engine for $8,500? Are you kidding me? You might as well buy a brand new car. Yeah. I bought that car in full for $4,554, and I only owned it for 2 weeks. 1 week where it broke down, the second week where it stopped working altogether. So since the first week in November, I have not drove my car. Lunette, that's what I named her. And she was sitting in the parking lot by the mechanic because I didn't want to tamper with it, since I decided I was going to take these people to court for scamming me. And then they eventually had my car towed for sitting there too long. No one even notified me. No one called me. And I didn't learn that the car was towed until 12 days after the fact, so I had to like drop $600 on that. Nightmare. But, you know, it's back home in my driveway, and I've been in the process of being in court to sue these people to see if it can get to trial. Right now it's only at pre-trial. And today what happened was the judge that was normally there the first 2 times I was there, he wasn't there today. They had a step-in judge, and the judge listened to the attorney on the defendant's side, and of course the people I bought the car from weren't there, even though they're legally allowed to do that. Wouldn't you think, like, hey, I'm being sued, shouldn't I be in court too to hear what's going on? Nope, not these people, obviously showing their guilt. But yeah, the step-in judge was not there. I'm sorry, the main judge wasn't there. They had a step-in judge. So yeah, he basically just reset it again. The first time in January it didn't happen because they weren't served their papers, but they were basically avoiding and like stalling. So they had the doors locked and like the lights were closed, and the sheriff department attempted 5 different times to serve him papers, but whatever. So then I had to pay again to serve them. And then in March, I went to trial, pre-trial, for the second time. And their main attorney wasn't even there. They had a step-in attorney. And they weren't there. The people I bought it from weren't there again. So the judge listened to what I had to say. But first we went through mediation, and then the step-in attorney was just like, yeah, they don't want to compromise with anything. So it's either that the case gets dismissed or we go to trial if the judge decides that. And I was like, that's fine with me. So then I presented my case. I guess I rambled on too much, like I usually do. So the judge was like, you know, have you spoken to a lawyer yet? And I was like, not really. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to reset it, and I suggest you do. So then that was what's supposed to be for today. And I actually felt very confident, ready to go. I shortened and condensed the crap out of what I wanted to say, because this isn't trial. This isn't where I get to tell the story in the main details. So, yeah. But I condensed the shit out of it thanks to the help of friends and my lovely boyfriend. And I even spoke to several law students that are friends of ours, so they helped me out too. And I was ready to go, and got there, and ended up being that it was going to be reset again. So I'm going to be there April 25th for the 4th time in court. And let's just pray, man, that the universe sides with me and gets this to be lifted to trial. And that's when the actual action is going to happen. But this is basically what has been going on in my life currently. But I'm sharing this, like I mentioned before, because I don't want people thinking just because they don't have money, don't make enough money, or, you know, whatever the issue is, that if they were ever taken advantage of, that they felt helpless, that they couldn't do anything. Like, I'm a 20-year-old adult, young adult. I'm a server. I have one job. I used to work 2, but now I have 1. I'm looking for a second one. But, you know, I was taken advantage of, and I'm not going to let that happen, even if the contract is an as-is. Like, they didn't disclose that happened with the car, and it could have potentially caused harm to me as a first-time buyer and other drivers on the road. So fight for what is right. If you know you're not in the wrong, fight for it, guys. I didn't even hire a lawyer. I'm representing myself. You know, I'm doing my research, doing whatever I can, and I think I'm more than capable of doing this on my own. So let's just hope that the judge decides the next time I'm there in court that, you know, it will be lifted to trial. And, you know, the defense side is just basically saying that they want the case dismissed because I signed a contract saying it was as is, no warranty. But, oh, and then for those that do not know or are lucky enough for whatever state or whatever, wherever you live, the state of Florida does not have any laws protecting any of its citizens purchasing any used cars. The lemon law that we have only applies to new cars. And it just, like, makes me question the system. Like, why was that not passed as a law to help out those people? Like, you see people have more issues with used cars and being taken advantage of than used cars. Like, I understand sometimes you might buy a new car off the lot and there might be something wrong with it. Sure, but, like, why is there no law not protecting used cars? It should be all cars. It's people's livelihoods. Like, this is how people get around. I don't know, but I'm going to wrap this up, and that's basically my story that's been going on without going into so much detail because there has been so much more going on, but that's basically my story.